second.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Daryl Moss. Another Monday evening. This is the breakdown on Thursday evening here in the great city of Springfield, Mass. We have right now we have two of our artists on. Over this past summer, we had a number of artists who came together. I believe there were 17 artists, 16 letters, and they came together to create that beautiful Black Lives Matter mural on Worthington Street in downtown Springfield. That mural was the second mural. The very first one was destroyed on a number of occasions. It was done on Court Street in Springfield, Mass. It was destroyed a couple of times, and these artists came together, worked together, and gave us a beautiful second rendering of the Black Lives Matter mural. So we'll get this started. Other artists may be joining us throughout the course of the program, but we're going to start now with who we have. I'll let them introduce themselves first. We can go with Emma.
Hello, my name is Emma Genesee Mesa Melendez. I am currently an artist, I guess, full-time at the moment. So I've been painting for about 3 years, and I've dabbled in the arts my whole life and decided to kind of walk away and pursue this full-time. So I've been doing what I can from home, and I've been active all summer long. So that's how I received this invite.
All right, thank you. We have Brother Mark Austin. Mark?
Yes, I'm Mark Austin, self-taught, multidiscipline design artist, owner of Creative Mind Labs, and just an artist and creative that's in the city of Springfield.
Okay. All right, and again, my name is Daryl Moss. Let's get this conversation started. Back in the early 1920s, Langston Hughes said, "We young and Negro artists who create now extend to express our individual dark-skinned selves without fear or shame." He said, "If white people are pleased, we're glad. If they are not, it doesn't matter. We know we are beautiful and ugly too." This is almost 100 years ago. Langston Hughes wrote that as he talked about the role of arts and creatives across the country. So, when you guys came together to do the Black Lives Matter mural, tell me, what were your thoughts when you were invited to participate? What were you thinking? What do you think about the whole protest movement? Is it over? Is protest art a part of what you naturally do? Talk to us about your mode of creativity and what you think about before you go into artistic mode. So whoever like to go first, that'd be cool.
You want me to jump in?
Go for it.
I got the invite. I think it was through email. I was really honored to get the invite. I felt like it was a good vehicle for me to use my talent or my skills to kind of voice as a voice, kind of for how a vehicle. Like I use my expression as a vehicle, kind of for how I felt, like a mechanism. I had a really good time doing the mural. I was a little disappointed, but I kind of didn't think that it wouldn't happen because it was on the ground, and being that it was on the ground, it kind of threw me off a little, as to why we will put something that we respect and value on the ground.
Okay.
So I was a little thrown off first about it, but it was like in the spirit of the togetherness more so for me, as opposed to like necessarily the ideology of the Black Lives Matter movement. It was more so coalescing the energy for me and using my talent as a voice.
Okay, when you say using your talent as a voice, talk to me about that.
So it's like I give back a lot of times by helping the youth. Like I do actually I got some classes coming up. Chauncey Ann, one of the artists, she's actually doing a collective for ages 13 to 17-year-old children or young adults. I won't say children, but they're gonna come, and she has a few different artists that are gonna come and speak to them. So I do I like to go talk to the youth about their creativity. So I like to tell them to use their creativity as allow their voice to come through their creativity and allow their creativity to be a vehicle for their voice. You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
it was a way that I could just kind of use my talent and incorporate my voice in it as well. That's kind of what I saw it as.
Okay. Let me ask you this: what letter, when we look at the Black Lives Matter mural, what letter did you contribute?
I did the letter M. It matters. It matters. Okay. Yeah, the M in matters. It's like a crazy looking abstract type of letter, but it's got some different things in it that I did. But yeah, I did the letter, the M in matters. Yeah.
Okay. And in a second, I'm going to put that mural up there. All right. And let's move on. Come right back to you. Let's go to Emma. Emma, talk to me. Same question.
So I have always viewed art as an act of defiance, and I think, you know, Dee, you know me from the times that I used to actually do spoken word poetry, and I've always felt like protest had a place in that space, and it's always I've always felt that it should dominate. That's my own personal opinion, obviously, but I think it's definitely a place for protest, and very act of protest art is defiant. So it never surprised me that whenever it was done, it was vandalized, because, you know, we're speaking truth to power whenever we utilize our artwork and our talents in that manner. And of course, you know, power is going to show its face. So I personally started by helping out with the Black Lives Matter mural out in Worcester. I was invited to do that and to support one of the artists out there. And at the time, you know, I had just watched so many videos online, and I was just left obviously really disturbed. I usually attempt to bypass it if I can, because it has such an effect on me. But it was just, you know, one video after the other. And so I felt motivated to go out during COVID mid-year and my contributions. I came back home, and a few weeks later, I helped out with the one in front of City Hall here in Springfield.
Okay.
And eventually I was invited to help out with the wall mural. So, and all three, I welcomed the invite. I also want to model the act of, you know, just being more social in terms of the movement to my daughters. I have 3 daughters, and I want them to be as vocal as possible about any injustices that they see in the world. And obviously I have to kind of show that if I'm going to teach it. So
they say, yeah, art is just so critical. I'm glad you guys share. We have more people coming in. I think for our viewers, I got to let you know, I think I messed up and set the wrong link. So I see people popping on now, and as they're coming on, I just want to read this real quick. It says, art, when you talk about the arts function as cultural norms within social movements to transform society in numerous ways. Across the United States, let me get people in, and the rest of the world, images have become central to protest movement that gained strength since the police killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis. It said artists painted Black Lives Matter banners on streets and canvases so large that it said that in the media that they can be viewed from space. Demonstrators have covered the fence of the White House with vivid protest art. Statues of the Confederate figures have become a central rallying point. They say the artist's role in uprising has always been to address the discontent of the people. Particularly, African-American artists have used their platform to humanize the Black experience and cast uprisings as something not un-American, but inherently American and in line with a longer history of revolt across the Americas from slavery to the present. So when we look at the artwork, and it's clearly protest artwork, I know there was one of the letters that drew attention all across the country, and I was happy to see that. This particular rendering was fairly controversial. I was so happy to see that. Emma, as you said, I tell you, if art doesn't move you, if it doesn't make you smile, doesn't make you laugh, doesn't make you angry, then I question the motive of the artist. So we have 2 more artists who are on board with us right now. Let's introduce them. I see someone that Ruby is coming on. Derek, we're going to go with you and let you introduce yourself, talk about your art and what you've done, and your role in the Black Lives Matter mural on Worthington Street. You are on mute, brother.
Oh yeah. So my name is Derek Jameson. So I'm a middle school art teacher out here in Lynn, Massachusetts. So I was kind of not asked, but I asked someone else to see if they can get me into the mural. I did the R, so it was like a black woman with the crown that had the braid coming down. So I grew up in Springfield. Actually, I think I moved out of there when I was like 23 or 2 or something around there. I'm not sure, but it was really nice to actually like get to do my first mural on a wall in Springfield to put myself out there.
Okay, let's see. We had a couple more people. I'm not sure what happened, so I'm sorry for putting people on the spot, but I want to make sure everybody gets involved in this conversation. Real quick, I'm going to show the mural for folks who have not seen it. That was a recent picture, so I wish I had got one that was really clear so that everybody can clearly see the artwork. If you Google Black Lives Matter mural in Springfield, you'll see all of the renderings. You see the letters up close and personal. So telling people, make sure you do that. So let me ask you guys about art in terms of if you had to define your art, how would you define art? I know Emma gave us a snapshot, but let's talk about art and social movement and why art is so critical. Whoever would like to go first, I say feel free. I see people backstage. I'm not sure if they want to be on screen. I'm going to put you on. Let me know if you don't want to be on screen. If you don't want to be on, we can take you off. If you'd like to introduce yourself, just raise your hand. I don't want to put anybody else on the spot. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Ruby. I'm new to art. I'm here to just listen and maybe.
Okay.
This guy, sorry.
That's not a problem. I don't mean to put anybody in the spot, like I said. Okay, so if you just want to listen, that's cool. All right, so let's go back to art as a form of social movement. Let's talk about art. Define art for me. So when people see the mural, I want people to understand that it's more than just this painting that you guys put up there and left up there. I want people to really understand the magic, the thought, and the energy behind the scenes. So whoever would like to go.
I'll begin.
Okay, great.
So for me, just being able to express forms of oppression and violence and injustice and inequalities, and we have plenty of it. It's an outlet to tell the story, first of all, the history of it, which is usually where my art comes from. I like to go back in history and create art that speaks for the ancestors that were voiceless. I also spend a lot of time painting individuals who were very active in social movements, and that's really how I began. And now I've started to put a little more attention into my ancestral lineage and trying to kind of understand why certain voices are missing from the history books. And I mean, we all know why, but giving them the stage and allowing them to speak for themselves and in the form that I envision them, obviously. So there's I think the challenges are traditional, and it's important to assess the hierarchies and the people who are ruling over us, and to speak and let them know the harm that they're causing at any point in time. And obviously history has shown this throughout. Jacob Lawrence focused on a lot of artwork that contributed to the visual displays of the Great Black Migration from the South into the Northeast. And it's that kind of art that I'm really interested in.
Wow, that's beautiful. Okay. Anybody else? Derek, Mark, would you guys like to add to that and give your perspective on art and how you define it, how you see it, why you do it, the magic behind it?
Um, yeah, no, I dig that. That was heavy.
Right.
For me, art is kind of like a byproduct of being like creative. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I'm like a naturally creative person. I have a really high creative output.
Okay.
Um so I connect with my struggles. When I was younger, I connected in a certain way. And I came on the show, the other show that you had previously, and we talked a little bit about kind of where everybody's at different points in the journey of waking up to themselves as a quote unquote black person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so with me, I don't really get too much into the like when people say you're black or you're not black, you're West Indian, Jamaican, Panamanian, it's a lot of race type things.
Yep.
And I kind of have went to a through my art, I go to places that don't have anything to necessarily do with what everybody's talking about. Like the definitions that everybody would put on me as a quote unquote black man, my art, those things don't exist. Like there's no
Okay.
parameters on my art. Like my art is limitless. It's infinite potentialities in all directions and up, down, left, right, back, forward. Right.
Yeah.
So when I did that letter, I could have went real like culturally significant and like heavy and then like a crazy Malcolm X mixed with W.E.B. Du Bois mixed with Martin Luther King mixed with I could have put like 50 million faces in one face, right? But like
Yeah.
the part inside of me that that speaks through my art is not that part. The part of me that's inside of me is like despite all of these so-called traps that's set for us, all of these
Mm-hmm.
devices that they've got in place for us, all of these mental constraints that they put on us, all of this opposition that they set up against us, like that we clearly see it's opposition. We could clearly see that it's a coalesced effort against us as the brown skinned people on the planet, right? So me being dark skinned in this country and feeling that when I speak through my art, it's the part of me that they will never break with that shit. You feel me? I'm sorry for swearing, but it's the part of me that they can't never compromise. It's the part of my humanity that supersedes all of their available assets, all of their available devices, all of their available and combined energy against me. That creative energy in me supersedes all of that. See what I'm saying?
Okay.
So that's what I gave them. That's what I give it to them. And that's the part of me that creates. That's why I feel like I'm always able to fluidly create because I tap into a part that will never be compromised by any system or
Well,
thought process. You
well,
know what I
well,
mean?
let me ask you this, Mark. Do you feel as if it's interesting because when we talk about social movement and protest, most people often assume that you have to be super hyper militant. There are a number of ways of expressing ourselves. I mean, we're just as diverse as any other, grouping of people on the planet,
Mm-hmm.
and we educate, create, and enlighten folks in our own way and capacity. Is that what you're saying right now? You have your way of doing it. You're not Malcolm. You're not
Yeah.
Marcus. You're not Martin Luther King. You're not
Yeah.
Louis Schomburg. You're Mark.
Yeah,
And
yeah. My flow is like a little different. My flow is like when I make it, it's like I did this thing. A lot of like people be like, because I get asked a lot of times like, how do you do this or what you do? Why you keep doing art? How you keep going and like what's your draw to it? Why do you keep doing it? It's like inside of me, there's things that I want to accomplish, and
Mhm.
they don't have nothing to do with like what they putting on me. So it's like a dedication to like the inside of myself, and it
Which,
reaches other people. So I just that thing is just so other people can see that it's possible that you can create anything you want and be as creative as you want. You know what I mean?
and let me
So
make it really clear. When I ask the questions, it's not. We're gonna take the they out of the room. We're gonna get rid of the colonizers. And when I've asked the artists respectively, what you think,
mm,
I don't care what they think or what traps whoever they may be, and that's for everybody. It's just I really want to just kind of pry into what you guys were thinking. As you said you did the M.
oh yeah, okay, I see what you said.
Yeah,
No, yeah, I
yeah,
created the M basically. The letter that I created was about like I said, the inside of me, which is externally it's a lot. It's strength. It's
Yep.
protection, providing, and what I represent to my family as a doer. But
Yep.
then on the inside of me, there's an aspect that is like that's free, that's ethereal. So my letter was an abstract recreation of the inside of what's in, me and like people that I'm close to, other brown skinned men. Like
Okay.
sometimes we want to laugh and have a good time. We're responsible, we're protective, but then there's an aspect of us that we don't want to lose. We want to keep that aspect of ourselves and that free spirited not carefree, but like the party of nature that's not compromised by fear or any other type of other emotion. You see what I'm saying? So it's all
Okay.
like,
Got you.
you can see it and just feel that there's another possibility for you outside of what you're experiencing, because it's like when in my opinion, when we get locked into that, me myself, when I got locked into that, it was harder for me to create. You know what I mean? It's creating in constraints.
Right.
But yeah, I had to kind of shut all that. So that's kind of what my letter meant.
Okay. Nope, I'm with you. That's why I asked the question. How about you, Derek? In terms of defining your art in the context of social movement, social growth, social protest, talk about that. Put it in context for us.
Yeah. For me, I can go back as far as cave drawings. So cave drawings were probably the earliest forms of like art and expression, and it's probably cave drawings or just drawings then were probably was like the oldest form of like communication or language. So just going that far back, you just know that like how powerful it is, and that holds so many words without actually having words. And then on top of that, a lot of revolutions and a lot of like wars and things like that, it all started with propaganda, and propaganda is mostly with drawings and cartoons and political cartoons, everything, all that kind of stuff. And so like they always look to silence them first. So the artists, the creatives and everything else, they always end up painting a picture without words. One big person that actually does it, and I actually like kind of see him as a revolutionary, is Banksy. Banksy does a lot when it comes down to a lot of social justice and like social things, and like talking about what's going on in the world, and he touches on everything. And so he doesn't actually have a face to it because he wants his art to speak for himself. And so I wish I can do that at this moment, but I really can't. I'm an art teacher. I have to show my face. But I really do want my art to speak for itself. And the art, mostly it kind of touches on, I have like a movement in myself, and the art that I do is like just representing like women, Black women. And then on top of that, I am into anime. And so that character is kind of based off an anime character on top of that. And so I was just like, really just wanted to like put kind of like a little bit of everything that I think about, everything that I like kind of like love about myself, and things that I actually love about, just society in general, and just put it all together into like this one art, just to make that little statement. So, just the crown itself kind of like makes a statement, the eyes like blocking, her eyes being blocked from the crown and everything is kind of like that mysterious thing that I was even talking about with Banksy. And so, yeah, that's mostly what it is. Like art was always my outlet, because I grew up with 4 brothers, and I was the smallest out of my brothers. So I was the fastest, but I wasn't the biggest or anything like that. So sports was like their thing, and they mostly played video games and stuff. So I was off into the corner, just sitting, just drawing and everything else. So art was always like my escape from all the, you can say, quote unquote, chaos that was going on in my house. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you all for answering that question. Now, talking to the organizers, when I asked them, a couple of questions about what they were hoping to accomplish when they pulled this together for a second time, they said they want to encourage social change, empower, deepen the commitment to racial equity, inform the larger society about social issues, harmonize social activists with the movement. And I think Derek said it. They've always used imagery to control the narrative. And I think the mural, for me, was about resetting the tone and making sure that we get a handle on that narrative. So when we talk about encouraging social change, do you think that we accomplished that with the banners, with the murals? the renderings that were done across the country, not just in Springfield. Do you think we got that message across? Do you think it caused people to think a little bit differently when you think about the murals and, again, all the imagery that was created? Whoever would like to go first. Don't know how to jump at once.
I might be biased, but I think it did. I think it helped.
Okay.
It was a lot of the creatives came out in a lot of the states and lended their hand, and I think that demographic within the country is like a lot of the people that want the change too. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, they're like brother was saying earlier, the creatives are like really responsible for like setting the tone. And so I feel like a lot of us that came out, it strengthened our brotherhood and sisterhood. It like, you know, made us feel more coagulated as brown folk. You know what I mean?
Okay. All right. Then I'm gonna put you on the spot. Your thoughts about that?
I think it did. It definitely got everybody's attention that needed to look and listen. I think we caught the attention of the general public. I think we caught the attention of leaders and politicians. And I think our role now is to wait to see how they respond and then react to their response. So it should be a dialogue that goes back and forth and it's continuous. And I think we've only taken the first step.
Okay. I'm gonna come back to that first step part. Derek, you talked about things don't freeze up on me now. Here we go. You talked about the caveman renderings. You talked about, when you talk about Western thought, you talk about how the first people they go to round up would always be your artists, your philosophers, your poets. When you look at the rendering that you guys left on the wall on Worthington Street, far more creative than what we did on Court Street. So when people wonder why I don't mention Court Street, it was yellow paint, black, saying Black Lives Matter. But when I look at all the imagery, when I look at all the statements, and there were so many statements on that wall, I can almost go down there. I can probably, if I were to write a book of poetry based on what I see, I could probably write about 20, 30 pages of poems based on the imagery and everything that people stated with their art. I just think it's profound. I think I laughed when Turtle Boy made mention of Gook's letter with the blue lines and all that stuff. And the way the mayor and everybody else talked about it, the way the media talked about it, is completely different from what Gook said it was meant to be. So it was kind of funny. It says, you talk about imagery on the walls, say 75 years from now, my great-great-great-grandson is walking through downtown Springfield. Everything is gone, but that wall still stands. What do you think? How do you think they would interpret that? How do you think, our descendants will interpret that wall when they see that wall in about 75 to 100 years? We're long gone, and we can't explain our interpretation of it or why we did it. Talk about that.
So yeah, definitely I can talk about that. I mean, if you really think about it right now, we are fighting the same exact fight that we've been fighting for since we got off the ships. So will the image change? Possibly. I mean, the narrative of the image, possibly not. I don't know. I don't know how long this fight is going to be. Yeah, it's gotten, you can say, a little bit better. Like, we're not being like, thoroughly killed in the streets. But I think like the narrative is still going to take so much time to actually change itself. For it to be like something either negative or positive or whatever that it is, for it to like really change. I think like, things would have to like completely shift. But I think that, if you really think about it, race and ethnicity will always be a thing. And that's the thing that we need to like, always keep in our minds, is that, it's not because, that we're all trying to be equal, and we are trying to be equal, but race, culture, and, ethnicity is always going to be a thing. So that's always going to be different when it comes from person to person.
Okay.
And so when you see, Black Lives Matter, without that, without that history of what we went through and what we're talking about as of right now, it can be construed, it can be changed in that way also, because it could just mean that only Black Lives Matter. And that's never been the narrative when that term actually came out.
So when an archaeologist runs across that wall couple hundred years from now, you think they'll think that you're saying only Black Lives Matter, or are you crying out our lives matter too? Based
So
on all the different, when you think of the imagery on that wall and what people are trying to, to say with their artwork. Because we could read the words, but it's like, how they say there's always, you have to read between the lines to get the real story. When I
yeah,
walk up on that wall, when I read between the lines, when I look at Emma's letter, I see Mark's, I see everybody's letter, I'm reading something a little different from letter to letter. If I look at it, let me just throw it up there real quick. If I look at, if it comes up, here we go. If I look at that, it just simply says Black Lives Matter. But when I look at the breakdown of the color, when I look at what people wrote, the imagery, whether it's men, women, all the symbolism that is, that was embedded on that wall. How do you think people will interpret that? Because it says more than Black Lives Matter.
oh yeah, it definitely does. I think the gentleman that was next to me that was actually drawing, I think he had like a black hand and a white hand coming together. And so that actually puts a different narrative on it too. Mines could be showing, just a black excellence and like in women and everything. I'm trying to think, there's the one with just the K that just has black and then red, that can just be, just a regular K. I just think that, like without any context behind it, I mean, do we really know for sure of like, even what the archaeologists say, like, do we even know, like beforehand, thinking about just dinosaurs in general, now that dinosaurs actually had feathers and not scaly skin, and they were not closely related to alligators, they're actually closely related to birds. So it's like we can get things wrong and interpret them in different ways. I think it just depends on how much we actually pass down from generation to generation.
Okay. Thank you so much. Emma, you mentioned something about this was the first step. When we look at that Black Lives Matter mural, people are often saying, well, okay, well, we got the mural on the wall. Well, what's next? From an artistic perspective, what do you believe should be next? You as an artist, how do you take this to the next level? And just real quick, Chauncey, I see you backstage. Just shake your head if you want to come on stage. I'm looking at you. I just didn't know if you want to come on. Can you hear me? Chauncey? You want to come on? Yes or no? Yeah? I don't want to put her on the spot. I think you want to come on, right?
Sure, no
I can
problem.
take you off. You sure? I can take you off if you want. So I just didn't know.
Yeah, it's no problem. No
Okay.
problem. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. All right, Emma, if you want to answer that question, I think I finished it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we have no idea what the next step is, right? We don't know what the reaction will be. We're still waiting for that to this day. And even with this new administration. So it's just a matter of giving it time and seeing whether we need to continue protesting in whatever forms. So, and to answer your previous question, I think this is a conversation we've been having for centuries in one form or another. And art has been one of the mediums that's been used to kind of speak, like I mentioned earlier, to power and to kind of communicate the plight that's experienced in this nation. So I don't, there's many times that I have read a history book or gone over some dated essay and realized this is the exact same thing that's happening right now. So to think that our future generations aren't going to necessarily understand what we've actually created on a wall is really hard for me. I feel like this has been ongoing, and I don't see the end. I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. I think it would be a miracle.
Okay. Thank you. That's a fair answer. That's why I think narrative is so critical. I think we're at a point where we need to kind of take control of the narrative to ensure that our descendants know exactly what we were attempting to accomplish and what we were saying. So honestly, I hate to put you on the spot, but I got so much respect for you. I don't even know if you know who I am personally, but I've been hearing your name for so long. And I got so much respect for what you do. I had to get you on and get your interpretation
Wow.
of the art on the wall, what you do, and the role of art in social movement and social protest.
Yeah, wow, so much.
I know.
First of all, I think the art on the, the art on the wall was beautiful. I think it was extremely necessary. I think it's extremely powerful for the creators to come together as a collective and express ourselves however we see fit for the most part. Um, what was the other statement? I'm sorry, I loaded. I'm loaded now. I'm
No, no,
loaded.
no,
Thank
it's
you for the
okay. It's
lens.
okay. It's okay. If we can just talk a little bit about just the role of art or your art and social protest, social movement, people coming together, and how that all plays a part in how we evolve as a community, as a society.
Mhm. Okay, well, I mean, first of all, if we want to talk color, we want to talk our people, we're going to talk vibration, right? So I feel like it's extremely necessary for us, as I said, to express ourselves however we see fit. Now, if how we see fit is to come together to put our feelings, our emotions on a wall, then so be it. I think it's extremely necessary. I think going down in history, it's crucial for others to see that we had a statement. We said something about it. We moved on it as a collective, and it's not we're just going to bow down and be shy or let anyone think that they're just going to say anything about us. We have something to say, and I think that moving forward, we should continue to do these things.
Right. Okay. With or without social unrest, for whatever reason, just doing it to ensure that we're all vibing on that same level.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. You say with or without social rest, are we vibing on the same level?
When you talk about us as a community, should it take something to happen with white folks doing something to people of color for us to kind of come together and do that again? Or is that something we should be doing on a regular basis on our own regardless? I guess that's the real
Oh,
question.
oh, absolutely. I think it's definitely necessary for us to come together regardless. But I think we do come together. I think the problem is some things aren't shown. You know what I mean? Like, unfortunately, it takes for there to be an issue. It takes for there to be drama in order for there to be a response. Like, for instance, the creatives have come together numerous times over these past couple years to do whatever we see fit to assist with our community. It's unfortunate that once something negative takes place, then the light comes with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Mark, you talked about the brown people in terms of the division. Sometimes we often refer to white people when it comes down to racial division, but within our own community we have division. How do we use art so that we can kind of build those bridges and get our folks back all on the same page across the globe?
I think just continuing, like Shaughnessy said, to come together and to continue to use our voice to like to get that thing out, because a lot of it is healing is we're doing a lot of healing too as a people. I feel like the art helps us to kind of get things out of ourselves, what I mean, that we might need to put a light on within our own community too. So I just feel like, yeah, it should just continue. I'm sorry, I might have got out track of the question, but
No, no, no. I'm just talking about how you made reference before about not doing things as a brown man. People get caught up in different types of things, and whether they're from the islands or from Africa. I'm saying in terms of look at our folks, across the board, whether they're from the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Panama,
mhm.
America, Africa. How can we use art as an impetus to bring people together?
Okay, I'm gonna stay on track this time.
Yeah.
I feel like we could basically create our own type of propaganda that we
Mm,
distribute amongst ourselves. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
mm,
saying? It's like the propaganda works, but it works in reverse too, in my opinion, because that's essentially what the billboards and all of that type of stuff is. When you go to school, I went to school for graphic design, so that's what they kind of be talking about a lot. How they trying to get into your subconscious mind with a lot of the branding and stuff like that. So I feel like it's all just slick propaganda, and we can run our own propaganda as artists. I feel like that's why we have a lot of the creative control, and we determine a lot of where things are going to head, because we're going to be the ones that make everybody else visualize what future we're going to. You know what I'm saying? So if we're compromised as artists, we're gonna, as we create and give everybody things to imagine, we're gonna give them things to imagine, which either free them or put them further back into slavery. You know what I'm saying? So
Okay. Now I appreciate that, and I'm just asking you guys questions just so our viewers know. I didn't send the questions in advance, so I kind of wrote down questions for myself, and I appreciate y'all for responding. So so dope. It's really dope. I'm digging it. Derek, I think you said you're an arts educator, right? Did you say that? How would you, if you were teaching your classroom, if you put together a lesson plan based on what took place that day when you guys took to the streets and you kind of you painted your mural and you left a message for the gods on that wall, how would you incorporate that into a lesson plan, and what would you teach your kids about that?
So it's a little bit on the spot. They usually give me time to actually write this out. But how I'll go about that? Well, in class, currently I don't really do too much just yet. I think for February I'm going to be doing a lot more face to face, like Zoom calls and things like that. But for me, like I dive into the reasons why the artist actually did it, and a little bit of their history. I think I did one art plan was Kahente Wali, if you know who that is. He's the individual that did the Obama painting with him sitting down with the leaves in him. He's one of my favorite painters. And so I just want to back on him and we talked about his life's work and everything. And he did a lot of work when it comes down to social justice and, Black people being treated so differently and everything else. So he actually did a series of pieces that were based off of very, very old paintings of Jesus Christ. He replaced all the Jesus Christ, figures as Black men. And so the Black men that he used are just random Black men that he saw on the side of the street that he took pictures of. He asked them if he can take pictures of them. And then he recreated the whole entire so I would do it in that kind of way. I would definitely dive into the artist's background and their reason why they did it, and present it to the kids, and then after they'll be able to do their own.
Okay, thank you. So Emma and Chauncey, I'm gonna ask you guys the same question but different. I run a newspaper now. We're putting out 50,000 copies from Springfield to Bridgeport. How should we portray this imagery in the media? If you had just say, if we brought you onto the editorial board and said, okay, I'm looking at this artwork on the wall, I'm looking at the Black Lives Matter mural. I don't want it to just be a one-day project that people go by every once in a while with their kids, they take pictures in front of it, and then they disappear. How should folks in the media, how should we be writing it? As Mark talked about, we control that narrative. We use this artwork as our propaganda to recondition our people. What would you tell me to do? What advice would you give me in terms of shaping, just shaping the narrative using the media? I thought you had this all thought out already. My bad. If somebody wants to jump in and help, feel free to jump in and help. This is what we do. Oh, you're muted.
I was going to say, you're supposed to be objective to a certain degree. As a
live?
As a newspaper.
We are supposed to be objective, but we know that news mediums are never, ever objective. But I read Mass Live, New York Times, Wall Street Journal.
Yeah. So, they fall across the spectrum. I think telling the story of the overall mural, telling the story of each individual letter, telling the story of what the artist intended, I think is important. You're going to get so much diversity just in the dialogue, and everything has potential to be a conversation starter. And nothing's going to happen unless we're having conversations, at the very least. If we want to make the general public aware of the conditions that we are living, then we need to put that in their face, in any shape, way, or form. And it should live in a wall that they're, walking by, and it should exist in a newspaper that they may have picked up to read, and any other means necessary in order to encourage the kind of change that we need.
Okay. I needed to hear that because you just gave me an idea. I think every month we're going to focus on a new letter starting with the letter B. Got to pick up the paper to read every letter coming after that and just tell that story. Okay, I'm digging that. I still got like 2 more questions. I'm only going to keep you guys to an hour. Same thing, Tennessee, community level. I bring you a group of young people. And you're talking about art, you're talking about the movement. I don't want to just say Black Lives Matter movement because I think it's an ongoing thing, as everybody has been articulated. It's part of a continuum. How do you teach that and integrate art into the message when we talk about the history of our people and the history of struggle?
I don't think I would attempt to necessarily try to teach it, more so than try to understand the children's point of view and have them express how they feel about it.
Okay.
For the most part. Mm-hmm.
Now, that's why I asked the question, because you're smarter than me, so I had to ask that. So let me ask you, what letter did you do in the on the mural?
Yeah, so I did the letter A.
All right, can you tell me the story behind that letter A?
Sure. So I also did the first Black Lives Matter mural. So when I was asked to do it, I was like, of course, anything for the community, I'm always coming. And to be honest with you, it was told to me, like I was told through spirit that you needed to put Yemaya on the floor or wherever she needs to be. She's basically an African Orisha. She is the mother of the ocean. She is the protector of children. And I feel as though as a people, we've been disconnected from our ancestral roots. A lot of us don't know them. A lot of us don't understand that you can call on your ancestors, but that's a whole nother day. That's a whole nother topic. So I felt like asking for protection in tough times with everything that was going on, paying homage to those that came before us, and educating was a smart move to do.
Okay. And you know what? I'm glad you said that on a number of levels. I said there were 2 murals. The first, I referenced the other one, but I'm absolutely wrong. 3 murals. The one in front of Old First Church in the park. Then there was the one in front of City Hall. And then the third one was the mural on the wall. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. I wish I had gotten pictures of the very first one. I was out of town that whole month, so I missed it. And at some point, I might have to bring you on and talk about, spirituality and the huge disconnect. I think that's kind of dope. I'm glad I just got pushed up buttons like you were talking about Yemaya. So thank you. All right. So I apologize, y'all. I should have sent y'all questions in advance, but I like for the conversations just to be natural and organic and just to hear what people's thoughts are without them being prefab. So we are I got 12 minutes left. Tell me some things you want people to know about that mural, art, protest art, life, and just from an artist's perspective, anything you'd like to share at this time. I just want to open it up and give y'all, tell me what it is you really want to convey to our community and to our viewers. Anybody, it doesn't matter.
I'll go first.
Okay.
I didn't really speak about my letter. So I had done the letter S with the words, "I am not your Negro," moving upward. And my intention with that, and I can't remember who it was. One of my friends, when I was doing spoken word years and years ago, said, "I'm a jabber. I won't deliver a knockout, but I'll sit there jabbing at you." And my intention to make it kind of playful and kind of punch you at the very end. So I did that because it was very hard to read. It was you kind of had to like journey up the letter in order to realize what it was that it said. And I think, I'm forgetting your original question. I drew a blank.
Oh, no, I didn't have a question. I said, tell me, just, share with our viewers anything that you want to share regarding that mural, yourself as an artist, art period.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a question. It was whatever you want to talk about.
I remember where my train of thought was going. So with the name of the book and the documentary, I wanted to point people towards something that they could refer to if they wanted to educate themselves, right? Because the people that walk through that street are pretty diverse, and so they may not be aware or educated on anything that is Black history. And so I wanted to put that in their face. Is there a part of me deep down inside that wants to tell people that I am not your Negro? Yes. But I also wanted to direct people who were viewing the artwork towards something that they could actually refer to and learn from.
Got you. All right. That's dope. And I am still a fan. I'm hoping you get back on the microphone to share some poetry, because I've been a fan ever since the first time I heard you spit a poem in Springfield, going way back about, I'm not going to say how many years ago, but I'm going to tell you it was with Vinny Sherfield. Vinny Sherfield and myself had a venue at the Aquarius, and you came down there. We were like, what in the world just happened to us? So, Mark, anything you want to add? I don't want to put people on the spot, so I see Chauncey is back. She's going to kill me. I'm putting her back on the screen. Is there anything you guys want to add? Any thoughts as it pertains to the subject that we're talking about now? Share whatever with people, because we're going to be playing this all for the next 2 weeks nonstop to make sure as many people as possible get to see this and hear this. I think there's nothing more important than our artists. I think creatives move mountains. And I don't think we'd be as far as we are without our creators, whether they're singers, poets, visual artists, performance artists. Creatives are the ones who get us through our day. So sometimes we undervalue the importance of creatives. When I tell you, boy, if it wasn't for them, I don't know how I would make it. That got me through 12 years of hell. So I appreciate the creatives. So is there anything you guys like to share? We have 8 minutes left. It's wide open. Educate people on why our art is important, why spirituality is important. It doesn't matter, because it's all interconnected. So if there's nothing,
I'm sorry.
No, go for it.
I was gonna say, kind of piggyback off what you said. I agree with you. I think that it's gonna be the creatives in any discipline, just people that are tapped into their creative energy, that is gonna get us out of the problems that we're in now. Because these problems won't last forever. Just talking a little bit about spirituality, I kind of subscribe to the laws of the universe, the 7 hermetic principles. So one of them is the law of frequency. So things rise and they fall, and another one's also cause and effect. So things that you cause effects, you know what I mean? And hopefully as creative people, we will start to push each other to cause more positive effects for ourselves as people. You know what I'm saying? So maybe we're in a very divided time, but I feel like it's going to be our creative thinking that helps us visualize solutions to the problems that we face. You know what I'm saying? So tap in, keeping yourself as fluid and as imaginative as possible. Giving it to the children as young as you can, not stifling their creativity, keeping them kind of open, to the possibilities. Yeah, that's just my 2 cents on it. Definitely.
All right, that wasn't 2 cents, man. That was at least $1. Thank you.
Oh, okay, you got it. Yeah.
All right. Anybody else want to add anything? Derek, did you want to say anything before we conclude? Chauncey, we good?
I would say that it's extremely necessary that we continue to put our footprint where it belongs. I think it's extremely necessary to allow these children to express, not to put any barriers up on them. Let them think outside of this universe. Imagination is a beautiful thing. I think even as adults that we have to remember that imagination is a beautiful thing, and that there is nothing that you cannot do. As cliche as it might sound, whatever thought you have, whatever idea you have, grasp it, love on it, move on it, be great, create, repeat.
All right. I think that's critically important. All right. Yeah, that's definitely a snap. You just be dropping it like, I respect that. All right, Derek, put you on the spot. You my last one. What you want to drop on us, man?
Yeah, I work with children, and the reason why I work with children because, like, they're the sponges at this time, you know what I mean? And so they're going to be the Obamas and the Michelles and all that, like, years from now, you know what I mean? So they're going to be running us, at a time we're going to be in these nursing homes, really like old and broken and stuff. So,
Right.
um, so just like going back to like a few weeks ago, the whole like the Capitol riot that happened and everything, we had a huge debrief on like what we discussed with these with our students. Like we actually do have these discussions, and my school actually has made a vow to like fight social injustice. Like we're not going to be silent, and we're not really going to take like the route of silence or anything, because like what they're saying is that silence is like the word of their oppressor. And so talking with them, and just allowing them, just spitting facts, just telling them exact facts. We're not giving them like a real opinion of us, but we're just spitting exact facts. And a lot of them are just like, yeah, it was a riot, and yes, there were terrorists, and yes, they should go to jail because they did something wrong, instead of saying that they were trying to like, quote unquote, the narrative is that they're fighting for their rights, and they were just it was a public building and they were able to go into these places and stuff. So with that being all said, though, I think that we should always give the facts. Your opinions can do matter and everything else, but like always give the facts, especially to our young individuals, and let them think for themselves, critically think for themselves. And usually 9 times out of 10, if it quacks like a duck, it's probably going to be a duck. So I'm going to go with.
All right. I want to thank everybody for coming on and joining me this evening. I really, 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 really appreciate it. I think I spoke with Emma a couple of almost 2 months ago about possibly doing that when we did the conversation with the Pioneer Blade Project, NAACP, and a few others, and we had a conversation. But I really want to have a conversation behind the scenes with the artists who actually contribute, because I think the voices of the artists are just as important as those of the politicians and elected officials. So I just wanted to thank you. And again, for all of our viewers, I don't know if you understand just how important art is. It's hard to find spirit. It's hard to be, how can I say this? It's hard to find your voice when you can't find the artist inside of you. And we strongly encourage everyone to be as creative as you can possibly be. To do that, you have to tap into your spirituality to be who you are. And my name is D. Moss. I want to thank everybody. Emma, thank you. Derek, thank you. Chauncey, thank you. Mark, thank you as usual. This has been a conversation on art, social movement, art, and who we are. With that being said, I want to say thank you and tell everybody to have a beautiful night. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you.